Hi guys and gals, Froggy here. So this will be the starter install on my z06 Corvette, and you can look at a lot of my other videos on how I got it out and how I diagnosed it and so on. Long story short, the problem in my opinion was that the starter is located right next to a catalytic converter, which gets it very, very, very hot. These copper studs, or copper alloy studs, will expand and contract. Look it up. Copper is a metal that expands and contracts very readily with heat. So basically, these got longer after a series of expansions and contractions. Let me flip it over. These got longer, and as they got longer, the nut is looser. Because it's longer, the nut stays the same, so the nut basically is looser. So under a cold start, it would start fine. It would conduct the power from the solenoid through here to the starter. On a hot start, because this was a little bit longer, this connection was a little bit looser, and also this connection here, by the way, which goes to the battery in the alternator, and it wouldn't start, or it would slow crank, very, very slow crank. So what I'm going to do, this is a replacement. For all practical purposes, it's identical to the original AC Delco. I'm going to put a couple of lock washers. I found a couple that I think are pretty good quality lock washers. Some are better than others. And I'm not going to put any Loctite on there. I was thinking of it, but then if I ever have to take these off, I'm going to be kind of screwed because they'll have Loctite on them. So just going to put washers on, and then I'm going to wrap this with a thermal wrap to keep some of the temperature from the catalytic converter off of it. And we'll see how it goes. So basically, I'm not going to show you excruciating detail, but I'm going to show you any important steps. Look at how I removed it, if you want to see how I removed it. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is going to be your first trick. Get a little focus here. Right there, there, right there, what I'm touching with the end of this bolt is a boss that comes off of the block, and right next to it there is a little ear that sticks out from the starter. To get it started and to get past this, you need to take the starter, and instead of trying to get it past this, go over this side, or maybe over the other side, whichever side you can. Don't try to shove it past this boss. Try to get this ear on the starter on that side or on the other side. Okay? That's the first trick. Okay, let me make sure I've got this oriented right. Your next trick is here. This plastic, there. Right there is a little plastic cover on the bell housing next to the starter. So the curved part of the starter has to squeeze by that, and it's tight. And the other part of the starter is up against this. There. Right there. This boss on the block. So that is a tight spot on one place, and this plastic is a tight spot on the other place. So you have to kind of wiggle jiggle up, down, this way, that way, and get it past there. I didn't have to actually force it. I was able to wiggle the other end of it to get it in there. But I guess you could pry on it a little bit, and I'm talking about a really little bit. Don't force it. If you're trying to force it, you're going to bend something, or make this leak, or do something. But I've got it past those two tight spots now, so it's actually ready to bolt up there. Okay, so there's your two tricks. That's why you watch Froggy's channel, is I give you those little tricks. I don't just say install the starter, or I don't just say reverse what you did to get it out. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to get you caught up here. I'm shining the light on the top power bolt of the starter. That's what I call it. I got the two connectors onto it. They're just hanging there loose from when you took it off. So I got them on there. I put the small one on first and then the big one on top. And then the lock washer. The way I got the lock washer on there was I used a magnetic piece, a magnetic tool. That magnetic tool right there, it's got a little magnet on the end of it, to hold the washer and thread it through, like where I've got my extensions there. I thread it through underneath the manifold, and then I used this other tool, which has a claw on the end of it, to grab the end of it and pull it to the right position to slip the washer on there. It's easier than the way I described it, but there's no way I could show it to you because I needed 2 hands. I needed 4 hands, really. So anyway, I got the washer on, and then I took the nut and I coated it, the outside of it, with grease, and I stuck it into that socket so it would hold itself in there when I threaded it through. And I shoved the extensions. You can see the extensions underneath the manifold. I shoved them through there, and I got the nut onto the stud and then just turned it on there. So right now I'm ready to tighten it up. So I'm just getting you up to date. I still have not tightened up the final tightness of the starter yet, but I wanted to get that into position. So you have to hold the starter steady to get the washer and the nut and the cable connections on there. So I did that, and now I've got all those on there. Let me tighten this up, and then I think we go back underneath. Okay, so we're back next day. Let's get this exhaust manifold on. So I looked it up. Start in the middle and work your way out. Alternate, left, right, left, right, left, right. You take 2 passes at 2 different torque specs, and I will give you those torque specs in a second. However, here's the tricky part. Some say to use anti-seize and some say don't. It's an iron bolt going into an aluminum block. My theory is I do not want to break off one of those bolts if I have to take this manifold off again someday. So I'm going to put anti-seize on there just a little bit. Don't overdo it. And I'm going to reduce the torque spec. That's what you do. You use anti-seize. If the torque spec is clean and dry, then you have to reduce that torque spec because the anti-seize is a lubricant. Sorry, out of focus there. So I'm going to use that reduction. There are some engineering charts on how to reduce it. I'm just going to use Froggy's method of reducing it. The downside to that is if one of them does by chance loosen up, I'll have to tighten it. Well, whoop, big deal. I'd rather have to tighten up a loose bolt than get one out that I snapped off in the block. That's a real pain. I don't even know if I could even do it without pulling the engine. So that's what I'm going to do. So the spec, clean and dry, is 11 on the first pass and then 15 on the second pass. So I'm going to go 8 and 12 to 13, 12 and a half lubricated. So that's how much I'm using. Come on, focus. That's probably a quarter of the size of a small pea. Just on the beginning threads. As you turn it in, it'll spread. You don't need any up here because that's where your exhaust manifold is. And you can see that GM used something, yellowish green or something, when they first put them in there. So I think I'm on good ground by using a little bit of anti-seize. This is the Permatex. It's called aluminum-based antifreeze. They have some that's copper-based and some that's got some other ingredients. Okay, so I use my air gun to just snug them up. There's no torque on it really at all, maybe 1 or 2 foot-pounds. And now I'm going to switch to a 1/4 inch, no, 3/8 drive actually, 3/8 drive torque wrench that I've got. I'm going to set it to 8. Okay, they're all good at 8, and I had to use a universal on one of them. When you use a universal, I think you have to put a little more into it, so I just did that by feel. Now, what I forgot to mention, I'll mention it now, is down on the pipe, I've got the pipe not really snugged up, but I've got it almost snugged up. It's in its proper position. I'm going to do that after I do the manifold. You want to do the manifold first and then do the pipe, the exhaust pipe. Okay, that's it. I actually, torque wrenches are accurate plus or minus 4% usually, no matter whether they cost $300 or $10. That's been tested. I went to 15 with the anti-seize just because they didn't quite seem tight enough for the size of the bolt, the size of the threads, the pitch. And I just put a touch more on there. You should do whatever you think is right. I'm not giving you the final say-so on that. Now I'm going to go underneath and do the 2 on the pipe, which is all steel, so it's pretty easy. I think the spec on that is 37 foot-pounds. Okay, underneath the car now, and I put a little anti-seize on these also. By the way, that what I'm using is good to 1600F, so it should be okay, even though this all gets hot. This is some thermal wrap that I put on previously for the starter issue. 37 foot-pounds here. Okay, I went to 30 foot-pounds with anti-seize lube, and just because that seemed about right. Try not to breathe in too much of this stuff. When your wrench gets up against it, it tends to kind of throw off little tiny pieces. I can see them floating around in the air, so don't breathe it. Doesn't seem to bother my hands much. I'm going to put some of this on those rusty, those clamp things on the exhaust pipes. Not many people bother to do anything with them, but I just don't like the look of it. And I bought this, and it's supposed to turn the rust oxide into rust phosphate. I think that's what it says. So it stops rust, and it just turns the piece of metal black. You can paint over it if you want to. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that, take a brush, and paint it on there. Okay, so I painted it on. It just looks like wet, rusty metal to me right now, but we'll see. We'll have to just wait and see how it develops. You know, I'm sure I'll be back here on some other video, and I will point it out to you. Okay? We are all done down here, I think. Eventually, once I'm satisfied that this fixes the starter problem, I'm going to put the cover back on this cat, and I'm also going to put a cover over the starter. But I'm not going to do that yet because I want to find out if I fix the problem. Let's go up top and put the rest of the car back together. Plugs in. Wires next. Okay, plug wires are on. We got this one vacuum line or whatever it is line. If somebody knows what this is, post it up in the comments. It runs from the throttle body right there, that hole, over to the oil canister up here. So I think it's probably recirculating fumes from this oil canister. This is a dry sump system. The oil reservoir is up here, So I think it's probably taking fumes from that and shooting them into the intake. That's my guess. Well, there's not much to show you there. It just slips in there, and you just push it and it clips right on there. Get a little fancy fastener thing on the top. Okay, I think we're ready to fire it up. See if that new starter's any good and see if Froggy connected everything right. Now, I'm not going to stage this. I'm just going to get in there, and what you see is what I see. I'm going to leave it up on stands just in case I have to go back and fix something. It'll probably start better if I reconnect the battery. And one last check that all my tools are out of there. Okay, so this will be the first cold start on this new starter. And let's just give it a try. Not going anywhere, so what have I got? Okay, let's try this again, and if it works, then Froggy will tell you what it was and what I did. So, no staging, here we go. Okay, no Christmas tree on the dash. So, here's what it was. You know that little wire that has a snap-on, snap-off connector, and it had a green color on it? Not the big wires that go to the starter or the solenoid. What the little wire, it does actually go to the solenoid. I forgot to connect that, so there you go. I'm glad that's all it was. I was thinking I had a bad starter. But anyway, it's running, it's starting. This is a cold start. I haven't tried the hot start yet, but I will do that later today as I showed you. And probably I will just put it down in the comments if the hot start works now, because I want to get this video up, and I don't want to drag it out and wait a few more hours until I test it with a hot start. So look in the comments. Give me a thumbs up or like if this helps you out. Subscribe to my channel if you want more from Froggy. And for goodness sake, if one of you knows what that little wire is that has the green snap-on, snap-off connector, I think it's some kind of signal that goes to the solenoid. So if it's like a signal wire that goes to the solenoid, please educate me and tell me what that is. Okay? See you later. Froggy out. Bye-bye.